This is your 2020 Hyundai Ioniq EV, and there are three options. There's the hybrid, a plug-in hybrid, and then there's this, the EV. It's been refreshed for 2020, so let's take a quick look. So there are two trims. There is the preferred, and then there's this, the top trim ultimate. So LED lights up front. I don't really care for the halogen turn signal. At this price point, I would have liked to have seen full LEDs across the top. Nice refreshed grille, and it kind of looks like birds flying away from a distance. I don't think that's Hyundai's intent, but that's what I get out of it. Now, I'll do a separate cutaway showing you the LED day runners. They look really, really sharp, and I like the LED lights and the nice little design line in there. This inside light is your high beam, and it is also LED. It doesn't cast the most attractive body line, but you're going for function over fashion here, so I'll give it a pass and give you a side profile, and it's, you know, very, very conservatively designed. Let's take a quick look at the wheels. They're aerodynamically designed, so less turbulence as you go through, and less turbulence means less resistance. You get turn signals in your side mirrors, which are LEDs, so at least there's that. Nice chrome door handles, and as we go back, there is your charging port. Keep an eye on the video about 3/4 of the way through to see how that works. Taking a look at the rear, you do have LED brake lights, but again, those halogen turn signals kind of turn me off a little bit. Nice clean design around the rear. I don't care for that color. It's a little too contrasting, maybe because it's the blue paint job that makes it contrast a bit more. And there's the electric to let you know which flavor of Ioniq you have. So here's your trunk, cargo figures on the screen. Both seats go down. Pretty standard stuff. Here is your home charger, which goes in there. And I'll get to the charging figures on the drive portion. You do have minimal storage here, and to save weight, Hyundai has given you a tire mobility kit instead of a spare tire, so good work there. Visibility is pretty good, and I'm just going to back up a touch, and I really like how they made this a hatchback, so the function factor is really there, as opposed to it just being a sedan, and you can see just how high up the trunk lid goes. Now, this may be an issue if you're in a smaller parking space, or underground, or just somewhere where you can't really get up that high. And it is manual. There is no power option, so you can't set the height. It's on set hydraulics. So just something to keep in mind if you're looking at the Ioniq as a vehicle for you. And there's a split here between the top window and the bottom window, and you can see it right there. So that bar is seen through your rear view mirror. Starting with the rear seats, because this is the top trim ultimate, the outboard passengers in the rear seats get two-stage heated seats, and the button's right there next to the window. Nice and easy to find. The seats are pretty comfortable. I sat back here for a little bit while the battery was charging yesterday, so not the worst place to spend some time, and that comes down as your armrest or your cup holder. Quick look over my proverbial left shoulder. If you're sitting behind me, that's what you're gonna see. So let's jump up front and take a look. Nice little black touch button. I don't mind that it's off colored as opposed to it being chrome or body colored. So that's what you're gonna see just before you walk in. You get the flat steering wheel for easy ingress, egress. Top trim also gets two-stage memory seats, which is there, so if you're sharing the car, there's no fighting about, I hit my head, or I fell deep into the seat, or whatever it is that happens when you share a car. I don't share cars, so it's a struggle that I do not know about. Side bolsters, full marks. Thigh bolsters, not bad. The seats overall are comfortable. I will give the Ioniq that. So let's quickly jump in and get going. So one other cool thing here. Take a look at how slowly the door closes on the image. Kind of cool. A little extra attention to detail. There's your push button start stop. Take a look at the opening graphic. Kind of cool. I'll give Hyundai that. And fully digital dashboard, so another full marks there. Typical Hyundai fashion, this one button controls all sorts of stuff that you see. The sun's coming through, so I'm going to try and get out of that sun to make viewing a little easier for you. I sit on the energy flow screen. I just like to see how much energy is, where the energy is being taken from and dispersed to, but you get all sorts of different information through all these different screens as well. All right, so, this is a little weird. You can see hold on, sorry. I didn't think the sun would come up this quick. You can see my hand through here, and I think it's kind of quirky that there's that actual arched piece here, but you don't really see it, or I don't think there's a point for it. Anyway, there's a better look at it. Anyways, moving on. I sit for the 10.25-inch digital infotainment system. I sit on this screen because it shows me my next closest charging points, and this one is also handy because it gives me my range, the battery percentage life of what's left, as well as the exact time, approximate time, sorry, as to getting it back to a full charge, depending on 120, 240, or the 480 fast charge DC charge. Thank you for giving me a volume knob. Thank you for not making the mistake Honda did a few years ago and the Mitsubishi Outlander did this time around. I don't like it that there's too many negatives. I wish there were more hard touch tactile buttons. You know, you can just push on the word and it goes up to whatever it needs to be at. But I don't know, it seems too much too soon for this. You know, lights are cool, graphics cool, but a couple of tactile buttons. And the same thing for the HVAC down below. Yes, that's one tactile button, the front and the rear heater, or defogger, sorry. But like, what if your off button breaks for whatever reason? You know, I get it. It's how things are going, but some tactile buttons. Anyway, moving on from that to 180 watts or 12 volts, one USB here. Lots of open storage here. I think that's a really good move. And if I had like a messenger bag or some kind of satchel or whatever guys carry, or if I was carrying a purse, you know, you can just put it right into here. It doesn't get in the way and it's still not on the ground. So really nice move there. This is a big perk, not that it's just a wireless charger, but because it's angled away so that, you know, if it was angled this way, you could see your phone, but you shouldn't be looking at your phone when you're driving anyway. So I like that it's angled. Just really smart move. Drive-by wires, so you have buttons instead of the actual lever. I got used to it pretty quick. Here's a bit of an irk for me. It's the position of the drive mode selector. And yes, it's got a little raised ridge, so you don't have to look down at it all the time. But I would have rather it be somewhere on the steering wheel or just somewhere closer to here instead of all the way down there. And it's eco, regular, or normal, sorry, and sport. But we'll get into that in the drive portion. Heated steering wheel button, heated seats right there, parking brake, a little bit, storage / cup holders. And I want to lift this up a touch and you can see that there's a little more storage in there. And the center console is pretty deep. Since I can't do any exhaust notes with an EV, let's do a quick run through on how I charge the vehicle. So instead of opening the gas door, you open the electric charging door and it's on the driver's side. So nice and easy, open it up. Now I'm using a level 3 fast charger, which is there. That's a level 2 charger. So the difference between level 3 and level 2, you have to open the top one and then the bottom one, and I will show you why in a moment. So I'm going to undo this and you can see there's actually 2 ports, one at the top and one at the bottom. Sorry, 2 plugs to go in the ports. And if I can do this with one hand, I should get a prize. All right, so you go up here. I was tapping on the wrong section. Oops. So it says authorized plug in to vehicle. It's already plugged in. And I'm just gonna hit start. Don't you know you're on camera, charge point? Okay, ready? Press start. Okay, so there's a little click. I'm not sure if you heard it. I'm wearing a microphone. Anyway, so let me clean that up a little bit for you. Right, so there's the information that it's showing on the screen. Charge point, station 881C, and information there. So I'm gonna quickly just duck over here and show you a couple things. First one is there are 3 lights, and right now the battery is 33% charged and it's working on the 34 to 66%. And I will give you a quick look at the dashboard. As soon as the door closes, the numbers will show up. All right, so right now it is an hour and 27 minutes to hit 100%. And then, yeah, so that's remaining time. You can see the little red plug there. Let me get that in focus for you a bit. Yeah, so that's pretty much how you do it. And get out of the car for a second. We'll go back to the charge point station. So let's just say that I'm done charging or the car's done charging. You're gonna hit stop. So it also shows the battery percentage as well. Tap card to end. Okay, now this is a free charging station, so that's why the total is 0.00. I was here yesterday morning, and I got about 70% charged, and it was also $0. So I'm gonna take this, undo it. Oops, right there. Sorry, I missed that. You push that down to unlock it, and you just slowly and safely pull it out, and then you pop it back in the holster. And that's it. That's not true at all. That's almost it. I think you guys would have rather had exhaust notes. So, but on all the EVs I've done, I've never done actual demonstration on how to charge. So that's it. That's how it is. Let's do the drive in the 2020 Hyundai Ioniq EV. Power figures are 134 horsepower and 218 pound-feet of torque, and it's a 38.3 kilowatt per hour battery. 3 drive modes. There's Eco, there's Normal, there's Sport. I've spent most of my time for city driving in Eco, just to see how much range I can squeeze out of it. And I think if I actually owned an EV, that's where I would live. And if I needed just a little more boost, or I had a few extra people or things or weight in the car, I'd jump up to Normal just to get a little more power out of the battery. I have used Sport primarily on the highway and back roads just to get a good comparison, and it is a very lively and spirited drive when you're in Sport. Everything is just amplified that much more. The steering tightens up and it feels not like a performance vehicle, but there's a noticeable difference between Eco and Sport. As far as on-road manners go, it's fairly good around corners and turns, and it's got a lower center of gravity, so that contributes to it, but you're not going to be whipping and ripping around turns in the Ioniq, even in Sport mode. It's meant to be your daily driver. It's your commuter car. It is more of the functional side of things, and for that, it does very, very well. Visibility, bit of a, not really an irk, just more of a quirk for me, and it's got to do with the rear window, and I touched on it on the exterior portion. It's got the split between the upper window and the lower window, and yes, when you look through your rear view mirror, you'll see that bar right in the middle. A little distracting at first, but the more you drive the vehicle, the more you get used to it. There's 3 levels of charging when you want to put some juice back in the battery. There's level 1, which is what you do at home, and then level 2 is what you find in most public spaces, and level 3 is the DC fast charge, which gets you up to 80% in about, I believe, 45 minutes. I'll put a list up on the screen now for you to take a look at. This is all from Hyundai Canada's website. So I think if you're able to charge your car at one of the public stations, that is probably the most ideal, because you can kind of just keep replenishing what you've used every day. Yeah, you can plug it in overnight at home, but I think it's almost 36 hours to get a full charge. But a lot of it depends on your driving habits, how much you're driving. And if you're going to do a road trip, or not really a full road trip, but just like a day trip somewhere. So I'm in Mississauga, so if I was going to Niagara Falls, I would specifically plan out my route so that I would park wherever the closest DC fast charge is. If that's not available, just the regular level 2 charge. On the driving side, you can do one pedal driving. You can do it easily as long as you're keeping your head up, looking far ahead. And these are through the paddle shifters on the steering wheel. So if you push on the left paddle, that increases the intensity. So you can see right now, I know you can't see my feet, but you can see what's happening in this mirror slows right down. And that's because I tapped the paddle 3 times, which gets me level 3 regenerative braking. And the cool thing is, out of the 3, if you are on 0, which means just a free flow, nothing's being constricted, nothing's holding you back. If you tap the left paddle once, you'll notice a small tug, and it'll slow you down oh so slightly, but the brake lights do not come on. It's only when you tap the paddle the second time that you really notice a stronger tug. That's when your brake lights go on, and when you intensify that to level 3, your brake lights still stay on. And the reason for that is you can't just slow down a vehicle going, let's say, from 60 down to 30 because you see a red light far up ahead and not have any brake lights on. That's going to cause a collision, and the person in front of you will say, well, he didn't have any brake lights, I didn't know he was stopping. Not an excuse, but just saying. So Hyundai has made it very logical as far as pairing the brake light application to the one pedal drive. If you are coming up to a stoplight, you don't have to hit the paddle shifter 3 times and then slow it down. You can just simply hang on to it. Let's just do it right now. So you can see what's happening in the window. You can see my hand right here. My other hand's going to be here, and it's hung on to. And right now the vehicle is stop. The good thing Hyundai has done with the Ioniq EV, both offerings get the full suite of safety systems. They're on the screen right now. Hyundai still makes one of the best lane keep assist systems in the business. Same thing with lane follow. It will gently push you back into your lane. It won't be a sudden jolt to get back in. And I keep saying it in almost all my videos. It's just a matter of time before the rest of the manufacturers jump on board and make all the advanced and active safety systems standard fare. Infotainment system, typical Hyundai fashion, very easy to use, very easy to pull all the information out, minimal guesswork. HVAC, a little distracting only because it's all touch right now and you can't feel your way around through tactile buttons. That's an irk for me. I don't like it. Maybe I'm showing my age. Maybe I've driven too many cars that have had actual hard touch buttons. If you want the top trim ultimate instead of the preferred, there's a couple of benefits that you get. You get the heated rear seats, and you get the power folding mirrors, and you get the sunroof, and you get the wireless charging, and you get the LED lights instead of the projector headlamps. Is it worth it? To me, yes. Again, I hate buyer's remorse. I hate looking back and going, oh, I wish I would have bought this model or gotten this or that feature. So I would absolutely get it. And the big benefit for me is the wireless charging and the sunroof. I would pay the difference in price based off those alone. It's just a thing I have. I like having light in the cabin as much as possible, and I don't like having wires in the car. They're just cluttered and they get tangled and twisted and whatnot. That's going to wrap it up for the 2020 Ioniq EV. If you've got any questions on the vehicle, let me know in the comment section, and I'll do my best to get you answers as soon as possible. Thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate the support. And again, thank you to everybody who got me to 5,000. A great commenter said, let's get you to 50,000. So let's try and do that. Be well, be healthy, be safe, and I'll be back sooner than later with my next review.